Hey everybody, I'm Amber.
And I'm Maddie.
And we're
Witches Talking Tarot.
And tonight, we're on the air.
Sorry, please be right. Please be right. Like, ways.
Yes, I gotta flip it in post-editing or what the fuck ever you say. Anyway, so tonight we're on the air, and we are bringing you an episode that we alluded to, or maybe we straight up said it last week, where we're going to discuss the quote-unquote lost colony of Roanoke and other lost cities out there in the world. Not all of them, the ones that we were most interested in and or that we managed to get research in for, because you know what? There's a lot of lost cities.
There's a lot of lost cities, which makes sense because how old is the world?
Exactly.
I mean, there's lost cities we don't even know are lost because we don't even know they motherfucking
we didn't know
exist.
They were there in the first place.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, that's one thing I came to realize.
So, do we want to start out with the infamous? Am I saying this correctly?
Infamous.
Okay, thank you.
You are welcome.
Roanoke.
Well, see, and I don't think it's infamous, but at the same time, I see why you say infamous. Because let's be clear, guys. Roanoke was supposed to be like this uplifting, super cool origin story.
Yeah. Okay, so if you're anything like me and Amber and you've seen the American Horror Story Roanoke, then when you hear the story or you hear the name Roanoke or even Croatoan, you kind of have this misconception. You don't?
I have not. I don't have the American Horror Story misconception.
Well, a lot of people have a misconception, okay? That
I have a misconception. It's just not related to American Horror Story.
I don't know. I like the way that American Horror Story did it.
I like the way they did it because they were copying off Dudley Town, but we'll get there later.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so a lot of people have a misconception that Roanoke was like this great mystery, and these people kind of just disappeared, and no one knows where they went.
That is
and they left
my misconception. Yeah, no, that's what it is. They learned that in school.
Right, exactly. And they left this mysterious word, Croatoan. What does it mean?
And nobody knew what it meant exactly. And, I was actually a little bit pissed off when I did this research. Not just because there is no mystery, and that was disappointing for me, but because, they damn well knew and they lied to us.
Wait. Okay, so how about... When was this discovered, though? Because maybe they didn't lie to us. Maybe this is recently discovered.
Governor John White.
Okay.
The guy that was the one who got the colonists to go be colonists that went with them in the 1587 expedition. He wrote down in his fucking journal, oh, I'm so relieved my family's okay. They're with the Croatoan Indians. He damn well knew they were fine. Yeah.
And they didn't kill them. The Croatoan Indians didn't, because I had read...
We'll get there.
Yeah, because I had read, when I learned about it in school, it was either, is it possible they went and lived with the Croatoan Indians?
Or
Native Americans?
Massacred by them.
Right, but there was no bodies.
Right. And there were no belongings either, but we'll get there. Okay, so... Should we? No, you're good. I'm just do we tell the old tale completely separate and then get into it, or just go through it and be this is real, this is what they told us?
I think we can gloss over the old tale. I think we can gloss over that and get to the real,
The old tale is, like Maddie said, these colonists, when somebody went back for them, they were just gone. They were disappeared. The mystery was nobody knew what the cryptic message of Croatoan carved into the pole was. And there's way more conjecture than just they were either assimilated into or killed by Native Americans. Mm-hmm. There's also thoughts that they were abducted by aliens.
Oh yeah.
That Bigfoot took them.
Went to Hollow Earth.
I like Hollow Earth. I hadn't thought about that, but I like the Hollow Earth thought. But basically, everything under the sun, not so much the assimilation piece, though, because that's actually what happened, but they wanted to kind of hide that. Mm-hmm. Because sad reasons we'll get to, I guess. So the lost colony of Roanoke that everybody thinks about is also not the first lost colony of Roanoke. It's the second lost colony of Roanoke.
Okay, what the hell?
Yeah. So it's crazy. Okay, so Roanoke is crazy, y'all. So Queen Elizabeth, the Virgin Queen, she wanted England to have a stake in the New World because we had Newfoundland up in Canada, but down in the lower part, France had something and Spain had Florida. And so England needed to stake their claim, right? So she enlisted Sir Walter Raleigh to help her get a foothold in the New World. And because the Spanish were so brutal when they came over to the New World in the way that they dealt with the native peoples, Queen Elizabeth was like, we're not going to be like that. We're going to go over and we're going to be friends with them. And we're going to learn from them. And we're going to work together. So be cool, guys. So 600 dudes go over in 1585. The Tiger is one of the ships that is in their fleet, and it's what all their food is on. And it gets it gets grounded or whatever. Fucking, it hits rock bottom.
Damn.
In the Outer Banks, and it sinks, and that's where all their food is. So. Whereas originally they were going to leave 300 soldiers behind to establish a colony and start agriculture in the area and befriend the natives and learn what they could about the New World. Now it's they can barely leave 100 because there's no fucking supplies. And beyond that, they've got good relations going on with the fucking natives until the captain of the ships, Grenville, he decides to be a right asshole. Because a silver cup goes missing.
Wow. I'm not surprised there's names Grenville.
I know. It was Sir Ralph Lane was the governor of this colony. And Grenville was kind of in charge at the time while Lane wasn't there or some bullshit.
Wow.
And they go over to the village because there's a missing fucking silver cup. And they're like, somebody stole this fucking cup. We want the cup back. A silver cup, y'all.
Oh my God.
A silver cup. Wrote the way that America was going to go. Just FYI, a silver cup. So the villagers are like, we didn't take a fucking silver cup. We don't have a silver cup. And Grenville's like, nah, we can't go down like bitches. So he massacres the whole town and burns all their fucking crops.
Oh my God, that's rude.
Yeah, so obviously they were not cool with us. No mo. Not all of the natives, just this one tribe, and I'm pretty sure it was the Sicatan. And we were friends with the Croatoans, actually.
And I'm picturing that fat fuck from Pocahontas, too.
Yeah, no, you totally can picture him. It's not the guy, but it's the guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
And, because Mateo is a Croatoan Indian that his chief was like, we can learn a lot from these people. They have a lot of technology that we don't have. Let's be friends with them. And sent Mateo back on the ship to England with the guys that went back.
Okay.
So,
again, Pocahontas, too.
Oh, is it really?
I don't know. I've never seen it, but so they said but I do know she goes to, England or something.
Fair enough. Okay. I didn't even know there was a Pocahontas, too. I'm not even kidding. It's
actually really fucking sad. But anyway.
And so
they send this guy.
So they said, Mateo goes back. So, we're cool with the Croatoans. But the Sicatan, they do not like the Europeans. And by we, I don't mean, because my family is not English.
Yeah.
I am not English. Thank you for listening, UK, though. We love you guys. But the ancient English are not so cool. Anyway, so, that's, how that went. So there's only, 100 guys left, and then, their resupply ship never came because it got sent to Newfoundland, but nobody knew that, to warn the guys up in Newfoundland that the Spanish were now attacking English fishing vessels.
Oh, my God.
I know, right? It was a comedy of fucking errors. Roanoke was doomed from the get-go, guys. Seriously. American Horror Story had that right, because this shit was doomed from the get-go. I'm pretty sure the Silver Cup thing might have happened after it was just those 100 guys that were left. But anyway, so, like, this other captain, like, winds up coming over, seeing them. They go, like, a bunch of dudes go back with the other captain, and only 15 dudes stay behind.
Oh, okay. That's not very many.
No, it's not very many. It's just enough. Like, basically, Sir Walter Raleigh has to have people there to call it a colony and for his land rights to be valid.
God, I would be terrified to be one of the people that have to stay.
Oh, my God.
So
For real. Plus, like, think about it. It's a bunch of dudes. And, like, I don't mean this in any bad way, but, like, dudes have sexual urges. And what are they supposed to do?
Each other.
True. But they were Christian Englishmen, so, like, that wasn't really an option. If they had been, like, you know, cool pagan guys, they'd have been getting it on. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself. Like, I just don't see. But, yeah, I just mean, like, I feel like they were put in a bad position. You
Poor
know what
guys.
I mean?
I feel sorry for them.
I do, too. And they fucking disappeared. Like, nobody knows what the fuck happened to them. They're more of a mystery than the missing colony.
Right?
Like, seriously, because so John White, who was originally in the 1585 mission as an artist, so he could draw out what the New World looked like for the English people. Mm-hmm. Sir Walter Raleigh then enlists John White to be like, hey, why don't you be my governor? Governor? Am I saying it right, guys? Governor?
Is that an Australian thing or a British thing?
I thought it was a British thing.
I thought it was.
I've only heard it in British stuff.
I thought it was an Australian thing. Governor? I don't know.
I don't know. I thought it was. But either way, I mean,
they're the same.
Australians are just British Texans. I mean,
right?
So,
they're the same.
You know, as a Texan, I guess like it works if I do it that way. Either way, right? I don't know. But like either way, he's got to enlist the people to be the colonists, right? So he gets his own family and and a bunch of his own friends to go back. And in 1587, they go back. But he and Captain Fernandez, they don't get along the whole way over. So they get screwed from the get-go. They get over to Roanoke Island. They go to the colony that's supposed to have all these guys working at it. And there's just a skeleton and the houses.
One skeleton?
One skeleton
oh
and
my
all the
God.
houses.
Hold on, I'm scared. Did this really happen?
This is what really happened. Yeah, this is history.
Oh my God, what happened
history.
to them?
Okay, nobody knows. Like, that's why I said that is more of a mystery than everything else. Like, I don't know what happened to them. Most likely they assimilated into the native tribes or were killed.
But oh my God, I'm scared.
Also they had to survive a winter in the New World.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, well, surely there would be more remains than one skeleton, though.
Right, that's the mystery. Where are all the other bodies? There's nobody buried there.
Wow.
Yeah, but so they arrive expecting 15 dudes. Instead, it's one skeleton, and so they start fixing up the houses and whatever. Yeah. And
so they're like, okay, well, forget them. We're just gonna move on in here anyway.
Right, but they weren't even supposed to be at Roanoke. They were just checking in on those guys.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so, Fernandez is already mad at John White. Mm-hmm. And then, they lost some... it's really hard to get to Roanoke through the one little channel that you can get to with your boats or whatever. Right. And... they were supposed to go to Chesapeake Bay because it's better land and shit. They weren't even supposed to set up at Roanoke. But Fernandez wanted to go do some privateering, i.e. be a pirate. And so he said, I'm not taking your asses to Chesapeake Bay. I'm leaving you right here in Roanoke. And they also, in the process of getting over to Roanoke, lost a bunch of supplies, okay?
God damn.
Yeah. So they're screwed and they're like, shit, we don't have enough supplies for whatever. So the colonists, they basically take a vote and they tell John White, you gotta go back with him.
John White's like, he won't take me.
No, he totally will. He does. He takes him back to England with him. But they're like, you have to go back with him because the supplies stuff is gonna go to Chesapeake Bay.
So he goes back to England or
he goes back to England.
Now, when he comes back the second time.
Well, it takes him. He's supposed to come
3
back.
years. It takes him 3
it takes
years.
him 3 years. He's supposed to come back like immediately, pretty much. But he gets back, and Queen Elizabeth has said no ships are allowed to do shit other than fight the Spanish because the Spanish Armada was now actively attacking the English. So
they do be like that.
in 1588, he gets permission to go with some crew somewhere, but they are being pirates themselves, and then they get attacked by pirates, so they have to turn back. Yeah. And he doesn't get out there again until 1590. And when he gets back, it takes like a fucking act of Congress, which doesn't exist yet. But somebody laughed, I hope. Our DC listener, maybe you
yeah,
laughed.
maybe.
But anyway, it takes an act of Congress to get the fuck over to Roanoke Island. And there's like nobody there.
Okay. I know you said that it's not like a mystery and we know what happened. Yeah, but I don't believe it. I believe that we don't know what the fuck happened because you're telling me this shit happened twice. People disappeared in Roanoke twice.
Right. Well, see, here's the reason that the John White thing is less of a mystery than the first guys. Because the first guys are a mystery.
Right. What the
I forgot about that when I was saying, because I was just thinking about the Lost Colony when I said it's not a mystery.
Right.
So before John White left, he had said to the colonizers, yep, that's what they are. They were colonizers. He had said to the colonizers, if you leave this area, because you're totally going to leave. Like, it's not ideal at all. It's not where we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be
Tell us where you're going to go.
Tell us where you're going to go. And if there's a problem, leave the sign of a Maltese cross, which I learned in my research. I did not know.
It's like a T.
It's like a lowercase t. Well, no, I mean...
Yeah, because, it's all...
it's all the same length. It's like an X turned on its side. Okay. All arms are the same length. Mm-hmm. Whereas, I guess, I've heard it called a Latin cross and a Roman cross in this research, is the one where it's, like, long and then the cross is up here. You know what I mean? Okay. So, like, the bottom is longer than the top three, right?
Okay.
So, you're supposed to leave a sign of the Maltese cross if you left in distress. There was no Maltese cross anywhere to be found. There was one tree that had CRO carved into it, and then there was a fence post in the palisade, which is the only thing that was left, guys. They literally dismantled the houses, and they took all the belongings that could be carried, and everything that couldn't be carried was buried. Like big trunks full of John White's own artwork were buried there at Roanoke, because when the colonizers left, they couldn't take it with them.
That is weird.
And Croatoan was written in, and so he was like, okay, you went to live with the Croatoans because we were friends with them anyway. So that makes sense. He wasn't even that worried. He was going to go to Croatoan Island the next day. Like, he was so not worried, he slept the night.
What the fuck?
Okay? Like, that's how not worried he was. However, that was a mistake. Because not only had they already lost 7 men died trying to get to Roanoke this time around.
Right.
And at this point, the anchor for the ship has broken. Now, when the anchor to a ship
wakes up
is
in
broken,
the ship and it's like fucking down the fucking way, like gone.
Well, no, the big ship, like the big ship that would take them back to England, its anchor had broken near the Outer Banks, like where the Tiger went down back in 1585.
I think they would have learned the first time.
Well, so if it stayed there with not enough anchorage to keep it in safe, deep waters, it would get pushed up on where, like, the Tiger got grounded at, that kind of thing. So, like, they had to leave. But he didn't stay on his own thinking, so, like, he wasn't worried about it. He wasn't like, oh, my God. He even wrote in his own journal, like, I am comforted knowing, this is not verbatim, guys, but basically he wrote he was comforted knowing that his family was safe.
Right, because his wife, he left his wife.
His wife and daughter, and his daughter that had just had a baby, who was Virginia Dare. She's like the first Christian baby. Because, like, I heard a lot of things that said the first English baby born in America. No, it's not an English baby born in America. It's now like the first American baby, except it's not the first American baby. It's the first European American baby. Mm-hmm. But really, I heard one thing, and it, like, the article, because I have articles read to me by Google a lot while I'm driving. And Google read to me, this article said the first Christian baby. And I was like, bingo, that's what they meant. The first Christian baby was born in America.
Jeez.
Because, like, here's the thing. One of the whole things about Elizabeth getting a stronghold over here was the Spanish were Catholic. Yeah. And the English were Protestants. So, or maybe they weren't Protestant yet. I don't fucking know what name they were yet. Whatever. They were not Catholic. They were the other kind of Christian that existed in 1585. And so she was like, we got to make this a Christian nation. Fuck you, Elizabeth. You got what you wanted.
Yeah, no, literally fuck Elizabeth because she killed Mary Queen of Scots, and that pisses me off. So, like, fuck Elizabeth.
I don't remember that story well enough, so I'm just with you. Fuck Elizabeth. Virginia, the Virgin Queen. But Virginia Dare was named for her, and, you know, whatever, because she was named Virginia, and Virginia was named Virginia for the Virgin Queen. So, you know.
So there you have it, the true story.
Well, I mean, so the most likely they assimilated into the local native tribes because when somebody went back in 1706, I think, and was like kind of looking into what happened, because Sir Walter Raleigh had no interest.
Well, and I'm pretty sure that I had read also that people have been on the island. Modern archaeologists have been on the island, and they found things like an English sword and like different artifacts that belonged to Englishmen. And that was the assumption that, okay, these are these people.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah, I'm sure of it. But also, like, the shoreline has eroded, like, by, like, 9+ feet since then. Yeah, like, maybe 900 feet. I don't know. A lot of shoreline erosion has happened since 1585. So, like, yeah, a lot of it's underwater.
They didn't find a lot. Just, like, I know for sure they found an English sword, and then
they found a ring. They thought it was more valuable than it was. Recently, they were able to test it and discovered it was bronze, not gold. But I'm pretty... Brass, not gold. But I'm pretty sure I read something about, like, native people thinking brass was very valuable. So, to them, it was valuable. But, so Sir Walter Raleigh didn't care about looking for them because as long as they were presumed alive, he still held his land claim. The second they were discovered dead, he lost his land claim because he no longer had colonists over here.
Right.
So, he never came to look for them until he wanted to look into El Dorado later. But the guy that came back in 1706, he talked to local tribes like the Croatoans and others who said, well, we are descended of the European settlers that were here. And some of them have gray eyes, some of them have blue eyes, some of them have
so they're not
hair.
Full native.
Well, there's thought that either they are albino or they are not full native. But their stories are that they are descended from those people. So, like, why would they have story? You know what I'm saying? And, like, okay, trigger warning, racism is why Roanoke was, quote unquote, a mystery. When the English read that the other English people that originally colonized here at Roanoke assimilated into the Indian culture and interbred with them, they were like high-key disgusted.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's
so they
so
wanted
sad.
to say, we don't know what happened to him.
That is fucking exactly, like, this guy wrote a book, and he even wrote the book saying, like, ew, kind of gross. And then, like, everybody was like, later they were like, we don't fucking know what happened.
Right.
We just don't know what happened. But there's, like, other stuff. Okay, so Jamestown, I forgot, I just remembered this. I never even wrote it down. When John Smith from Jamestown was caught by, and I think this is straight out of Pocahontas, he was caught by some chiefs, and, like, he thought he was going to die, but the chief just wanted him to tell him stories or whatever. The chief told him a story about this like multiple different tribes that lived in the area around Jamestown, that the tribesmen wore Englishman dress and had, like, English customs.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, like 100%, I'm sure there were probably some skirmishes with natives where some people did die. But I'm sure they assimilated. That said, did you read anything about the Dare Stones?
No, you mentioned them, and I was like, what the hell's the Dare Stone?
Okay, so back in 1937...
I think you sent me Bear Stones by accident, and I was confused as shit. If you didn't, that's how I read it.
Oh, I thought I said Dare Stones. I don't know, because Eleanor Dare, John White's daughter...
Yeah, you mentioned her name. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Dare Stones are In 1937, this guy was out like looking for treasure because he was a treasure hunter, and he found this 21-pound piece of quartz.
Nice.
That had Old English written in it.
Wow, that's weird.
And it was a message for John White.
Really?
Yeah, it even said like this rock is being carried to, or is to be delivered to John White, and he'll give you lots of presents for delivering this message. And basically it was his daughter Eleanor saying, we left the colony because it was terrible for like 2 years or some shit.
No, did this really happen? Or is this...
This is...
speculation?
So, like, this really happened. Like, the stone was really found. It was really turned into a college to be looked into. This guy named, with the last name of Pierce, that worked at the college, was really, like, whoa, what the fuck? So, he was looking into it. He deemed that it was not a forgery. He made the fucking mistake of during the Great Depression saying this college will pay $500 for the other, like any other stones, you know. So this guy started finding all these stones, right? Mm-hmm. So most of the Dare stones are forgeries, 1,000,000%, absolutely. Mm-hmm. The first Dare stone. They, for a long time, because of the other stones being forgeries, like Pierce really ruined his own academic career by, you know, whatever. But the first Dare stone was tied up in the, it's a forgery. However, it was written in accurate Old English in 1937. Like 3 people living in Georgia could have done that. Wow. You know what I mean? Also, here's a mystery. The guy that Hammond, Jurassic Park. The guy that found the Dare stone, he disappeared after getting paid for the stone. He just disappeared off the face of the earth. Like, they've even, like, tried to
I just think it's crazy that it's written in quartz, on quartz. That's insane.
Yeah, like, it's super, like, yeah, I don't know.
Aliens.
Crazy. Like, it's super crazy. And they recently have started looking back into it because the college that currently owns the Dare stones, they're a very small college. They're not a research college, so they only research them as they have funds to do so, basically.
Right.
So they have recently been able to find out that essentially, if the original Dare stone is a forgery, it is the best forgery that exists ever.
Wow.
Like, they cannot prove that it's not a forgery, but everything says it's not a forgery. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, but all the other ones, like, they proved totally forgery.
Dude, I gotta say, like, I feel like you've been talking this whole time. I've been like, wow. Yeah.
I just, like no, I dug this shit.
No, I know. That's why I'm letting you, like, just go, because, like, I'm literally, guys, I am literally listening to the story and my reactions with, yeah, wow, are you serious? That's real. Like, those are real reactions. I'm like, what?
So much about this. Like, because I kept looking for
the mystery.
But, like, here's why you want it to be a mystery. It was a myth on purpose.
Yeah.
We were trying to have a better origin story than the pure-ass Puritans and the Jamestown massacre shit. So
there it is. The true story of Roanoke.
But if you know what happened to those first 15 guys, fucking let me know.
Yeah, let me know, because that's crazy.
That's crazy. Like, and nobody seems to care.
Why does nobody care?
Why does nobody care? Yeah, I don't know. So, tell me, since Sir Walter Raleigh was involved with Roanoke and El Dorado, and I couldn't find anything about, like, the El Dorado myth. I don't really know much. I, like, never saw the word
El Dorado, I'm sure we all know from, like, the, what is it, Pixar or Disney or some shit movie.
I don't know.
I've never seen it, but I know it's a thing.
It is a thing. It's a cute little movie. I've just never...
Anyway, so the myth of El Dorado is that it's like this big, gorgeous city that's like lost, and it's full of gold and riches. And as I say that, I'm like, the fountain of youth.
Well, and honestly, it also makes me think of like the city of Zinj.
What is that?
It's like this mythical city where like there were diamonds in the ground. Like it's a
yeah,
diamond
it's something.
mining
It's
shit.
like that, but with gold.
Yeah.
But the reality is, it was never really like a city, from what I understand. It was a tribe, and they had a. Every time there was a new chief, he would literally like dust himself in gold from head to toe. I think I read that he like would wash himself in a specific like lake or something like that.
I did not read that. I did read about the gold thing, and like that's all I really, because one thing that I read, and it really did make me think of our Fountain of Youth episode, where it was like maybe it's in a bunch of different places, right? And they said the El Dorado myth was like an amalgamation of a bunch of different things. And then I read the thing about the chieftain, and that's all I read. And I ran out of time to find the actual myth because it's not one that I'm familiar with.
It's just like a lost city that everybody hunted for gold, pretty much. But the thing is, when I was doing research on it, I read that some of the tribes people or people in tribes nearby or in that area said gold does not equal riches for them. Gold is what they would use for offerings or to look pretty. It wasn't a money thing. It wasn't a financial thing. It was important to them. Like
no, I get that because like what I read was like the first chieftain, I guess, that started that or whatever. Like he said, I would rather adorn myself with gold and nothing else because it's the best thing to adorn yourself with. And if it's your offerings to your God,
because it's holy,
that makes a whole lot of sense.
So anyway, nobody's been able to find it because it's not a city. It was a tribe.
And if it does hold the Fountain of Youth, as we talked about, you have to be worthy.
Well, in that, not only that, but like near where they think the city would have been, though, they've found gold coins and gold swords and things like that. So it could have been real.
Gold sword.
It was weird. It was like, it's crazy.
That's like, I don't know, gold sword, impressive.
Well, it's like
I will never be impressed by
that
your
right
sword.
there is why people are like, oh, we got to find it, just like the Fountain of Youth. You know what I mean? Which makes go ahead.
So no, you go.
It just that little taste of but there's gold here, so it must be here somewhere. You know what I mean? Just to drive people.
And I just mean, how stunning, a gold sword with rubies embedded in it.
That'd be pretty.
Not for using, like
that's an athame.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't work with gold much, but damn, that would be a pretty athame.
It would.
But I get it with the gold, okay, because we are eventually going to do metals episodes we talked about. Right. And, like, I get the whole, like, if you're covering yourself in gold flakes, I have no idea how healthy this is, guys.
People ingest it in alcohol all the time. People drink it, they eat it all the time now. Gold.
So, yeah, I'm not a doctor, and if you do whatever you do, whatever. I'm just going to say what I'm thinking here, which is, if you're covering yourself in gold, you're literally, like, radiating your vibration toward the energies with a magnified frequency because it's a metal substance. Mm-hmm. So wouldn't that magnify energy in one way
Which makes sense as to why they would use it as a holy thing and why the chief would be the one to...
Yeah, because, like, I think it was back when I got tamed wild. I'm not sure. But I used to have this vial of oil that I used for ritual purposes. I used it every year before PPD. Now I'm going to have to find a new bottle because I used the last of it this last year at PPD. But it's got gold in it. It's gold and orange and frankincense.
Nice.
Yeah. And, like, you put it on yourself. Mm-hmm. And, like, I always feel holier than holy when I put it on. So, I mean, like, I get the whole thing. I get it with the El Dorado. I get that. So
that's pretty much the gist with El Dorado.
Yeah.
It's not like a super huge myth other than it's something people have been chasing for centuries, like the Fountain of Youth.
Yeah. So, Cahokia.
This is crazy. Amber's about to take over again.
My God, guys. Yes. Because, like, look. If I didn't have a podcast, I wouldn't know about Cahokia. I grew up in America Why was I not taught about this in American history, y'all? Like, tell me. Yes, I am getting that accent, and maybe it is a little on purpose. I'm mad, though, y'all. I'm mad. Why were we not taught about this? Cahokia was the only metropolis north of Mexico in the Americas in ancient times. From 700 AD to 1350 AD, this metropolis had a population of about 15,000 people. Okay? Put into make your brain focus on what I just said. 700 AD to 1350 AD. That's before the Spanish ever came over. You know, that's before 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. I mean, this is ancient shit. And it was a huge fucking city that had been purposefully planned out.
And it was placed, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it was placed right in the middle of America.
It was.
Like, it's like so everybody can, like, get...
Yeah, it was where the Mississippi and the Missouri rivers come together. And so, like, everybody... Those rivers run through the entire country, I'm pretty sure. I meant to look at a map, but I didn't. I should have just asked my husband. He would have told me more than I wanted to know. But, like, the main, like... There's still ruins over the St. Louis and Illinois area. There's actually, like, a national park in Illinois that you can go visit. It's got some of the remains, but like they built pyramids, square-bottomed, flat-topped pyramids. They had 120 earth mounds that were like built. It was like buildings built out of earth by hand.
Where are they? Are they still there?
Some of them are. There's like 80 left, and they've only investigated like 12 of them so far. And they found like one really crazy burial. Why the fuck did we
not know this? Like, I had no idea. Don't say that about the burial, because I watched a horror movie one time, very similar. It was actually, I don't know if you've seen it. I'm pretty sure it has Kevin Costner in it. It has somebody in it. Like, it has a really famous actor in it. Basically, like, behind their house are those, like, pyramid things for the burials. But there's zombies in them. Like...
Oh, my God! You say that. And I just have to say, when I was doing my Roanoke research, one thing said they thought a zombie apocalypse might... What zombie apocalypse took out Roanoke? Exactly! Right! I was like, that's the dumbest conspiracy theory. I'd forgotten until you said zombies. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was a scary movie. It was a sad movie.
But I just mean, like, they made, like...
They made their own
observatories. They had a pole set up that on the spring solstice and the autumn solstice. So the equinoxes, it lined up with what, like the sun or something. Like, oh wow, they super advanced.
So it was an advanced. They
had a Woodhenge, which, you know, when we do our Stonehenge episode, I figure we'll delve into that a little bit because that's a part of this. Like. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. And why didn't we learn about it in school?
No, I didn't learn about it at all. I had no idea. If you guys learned about it, let us know. Because I did not.
I didn't either. Like, if you are from Illinois, are you taught about it? Right. Because, like, the thing is in Illinois. But, like Maddie said, it was right in the middle of America. So, like, people could come and go. Like, there was huge open
multiple tribes.
Yeah, multiple tribes coming together for religious celebrations and things like that. You can read between the lines all you want. Not going to get into that sad shit that we don't want to talk about because this is a fun episode. But, like, they did DNA testing or something, and it's like people from all over America went there and settled there, like a fucking metropolis, like fucking London. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like... to me, it's just crazy. Like, the soil was super fertile so they could grow corn to support a huge population. They had the rivers, so there was a population...
For water.
Yeah.
Water and fish.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So fish to feed, like, that large population. Now, unfortunately, the political hierarchy seems to be what eventually killed it out, because literally on some of those mounds, like those big pyramids that were flat-topped, that's because the leaders of the society literally lived up there and looked down on their worker citizens. And
like something from Cartagena.
I don't know, maybe, because I was immediately, for some reason, I thought of one of your favorite movies, The Mummy.
Oh, yeah, no, totally.
Like,
I was thinking that with the El Dorado, with him being dressed in things from gold. I was like, that Anak Salamoon bit.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, no, seriously, like The Mummy, I could totally see that, but my thought was, like, you know, I don't know if it's like that now or anything, but I remember in the 80s, not that I was alive in the 80s, but I know in the 80s and possibly the 90s, the stereotypical Cartagena from fucking, you know, Romancing the Stone. You've got the really rich people, and they've got, like, their big old, like, buildings, and they literally look down on certain people, like the poor people. Yeah.
It's funny you say Romancing the Stone. It reminds me, I've got to listen to Doom Generation did a guest spot on Docking Bay podcast covering Romancing the Stone.
I love that movie
when I was little.
Oh my God, I wanted to be...
Kirk Douglas was fucking hot as that guy.
I wanted to be Joan Wilder. I still want to be Joan Wilder.
I did too.
Like,
she
is so amazing, dude. Like, her life. I mean, I realize in the beginning of the movie they try to make it really, she's lonely. Fuck that. She got a cat.
She just said go wherever she wants, honey.
She's got a cat. She's a multi-time best-selling author.
Right? Like, she living it, y'all. Don't
that's fucking awesome.
That's the dream.
Literally,
the dream.
And I do.
Even with the getting kidnapped by, like, and it's the dream.
Because that one, oh my God.
Adventure.
Exactly. And, like, I realized recently, like, first of all, she wrote about her adventure and named it Romancing the Stone. That's why it's called Romancing the Stone. Oh, I love that movie. And then, like, in the ending, there's a new movie I want to see.
I do not remember the ending, but I just love the title, Romancing the Stone.
It's gorgeous.
That gave me so much headcanon as a young person.
Well, and there's a new movie out similar. I do want to see. It's a Sandra Bullock movie. It's also got
I want to see that.
I want to see it so bad, where she's like a multi-time best-selling romance author, and she gets kidnapped, and the guy who is the model for her books, which is Channing Tatum, she doesn't take him very seriously. She's just like, yeah, he's just a model. Can you try and, like, sex it up a little bit? And, you know, he's like, I'm going to show her that I'm not just a stupid model. I'm going to save her. And it's like, she's literally...
to show him what a stupid model
Exactly.
He is. Or show her what a stupid model he is.
I like the idea of an author literally being saved, quote unquote, by the model of their book, because that's
cute.
Dream come true.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is... Instead of you're in love with him, he's in love with you.
Yes, I love it. It looks really good. I need to watch that movie.
Oh, but speaking of movies, they should totally make a movie about the Helike.
Oh yeah, the Helike. Thank you for mentioning that, because I was about to be like, bye.
No, because I was like, I have a mental plan. I was like, we did Roanoke, and then El Dorado, and then Cahokia, Helike, and we'll finish out with pop culture and Dudley Town.
So basically Helike was this city. It was like this city in ancient Greece, okay? Ancient Rome, ancient Greece. They were like a really big city. They had their own, like, money. They had their own, like, political system. They were very thriving.
They were like a thriving metropolis.
Yes, exactly. A thriving city. Yes. Now, the tale goes that for 5 days and 5 nights, different animals left. On the first night, the mice left. On the second night, the snakes left. On, like, the third night, the, like, birds left. And, like, there was, like, all of the little animals like that. I can't remember the other two. They all left. And then suddenly there was a giant earthquake and a tsunami. And
that's why they left.
Right?
The animals are smarter than us.
They went under. Like, the whole city was underwater for so long. People didn't even...
All the inhabitants drowned, didn't
they? All the inhabitants drowned. People didn't even know it existed anymore, because people in the ancient times, they used to talk about it all the time. Yeah, I went to Helike. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I went to vacay there. And then they were like,
I got a tiki in Helike.
we don't talk about Helike no more. Because, like, the first rule of ancient Greece is we don't talk about Helike. And that's because they were so close to the ocean that they worshipped the god Poseidon.
Yeah.
They had a temple for the god Poseidon. So, as ancient Greeks and, Romans by default do, they assumed that they upset their god, and that's why they were swallowed up by a tsunami.
Not just assumed. I read they thought that, like the other people thought that, because the Helike people would not give their big brass Poseidon sculpture to some people from like Asia Minor or some shit.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
I thought,
great. So
I was
Poseidon
going to ask you
was
questions
pissed.
about
No,
that.
I have no idea. So Poseidon
'Cause
was pissed about that and drowned
Right,
them all.
I get, yeah, because I was like, I assume these people must also worship him,
Right.
for that to be a thing, right?
Well,
I guess it would spread his worship,
Right.
if they would be willing, and that would explain his wrath at them being unwilling. Like, no, we're Poseidon's people. That's
Right.
our statue.
It's honestly really sad to me. Reading up on it, I would say it is equal to, and controversial thing, Pompeii. And I'm going to say it's equal to Pompeii because they all fucking drowned, you guys.
I was expecting her to say Atlantis, damn it.
No, that was also brought up. It was theorized that could also have been a city that inspired Atlantis.
Yeah, okay.
But no, I
'Cause
was
I
going to
definitely thought
compare
of
the
Atlantis.
great disaster to Pompeii. Because,
Yeah.
like, while Pompeii is pretty horrific because, everybody fucking burned. That's pretty bad.
So sad.
Everybody fucking drowned. It's the exact fucking opposite, bro.
It is, but like, the ash people touch them and they dissolve, and it's so sad. I'm sorry, Pompeii really makes me sad.
Oh my
guys.
god, you've got to see the movie. Well, you probably won't because it's fucking sad, but it's called Pompeii. It's got Kit Harington in it. The ending, he falls in love with this girl, and you want to know they're trying to run away from the fucking volcano, and I'm gonna ruin it. I'm gonna ruin it for everybody. And then he stops.
I'm gonna cry.
He stops and he's like, "We can't outrun this."
Oh my god!
She's like, "No, yes we can." He said, "No." Guess what happens?
They die!
But they kiss, and then their bodies are preserved forever.
Cersei's so jealous.
Like, well, no, Kit Harington's Jon Snow.
No, I know.
Oh.
But Cersei Lannister.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if she and Jaime had...
It was just, it was the most beautiful ending for a Pompeii movie that they could do, because when they kissed at the end, it showed that their bodies were preserved.
That's like the old people in Titanic.
Yeah, it was bullshit.
Oh my god, that hurts.
But though you start the movie knowing everybody dies.
I know, that's the worst.
I mean, I guess it's the same with Titanic. Yeah, fuck that, dude. But
And
like,
every episode of
I
Game of
would
Thrones.
compare it. I would compare it to Pompeii because it is
So
like Pompeii.
sad.
Everybody drowned. Everybody died. It's just kind of the opposite, which is really upsetting because, like, there were people...
I'm sorry about my face, YouTube. I can't stop.
There were
I'm
people that
trying not to
lived
cry.
there, and it's like, part of me wonders, were there people that saw the animals leaving and they were like, what's going on? This is weird. Or were there people that saw the animals leaving and they were like, we need to go too? Because once
There had to be, because I'm one of those people.
When the rats leave out of
A
the
city
town,
that's got food in it, you gotta question.
yeah, you gotta
Yeah.
be like, we gotta go.
Uh-huh.
I like to think maybe there was a family or two that realized, okay, this is not okay. Probably poor. That's
Yeah,
because they know how the
They're paying
rats.
attention.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I hope some of them survived. Unfortunately, you can't say the same for Pompeii. I don't think anybody survived that one. Like, so it's very upsetting.
That's so heartbreaking.
I'm sadder about Helike than I thought I would be.
It's real sad.
It is fucking sad.
It's real sad.
Damn.
Yeah.
So that's the story of that lost city, and we found it recently. Like it came up somehow.
Okay.
So
okay.
it wasn't that's why it was a lost city, because as I was saying earlier before I got distracted, people would quit talking about it because it
Right.
was like cursed city. It was like a thing.
Right, because Poseidon.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So then
They
it
didn't
was
want to anger him.
exactly. So it wasn't until recently. I think it was recently. By recently, I mean well after the ancient Greeks. I don't know when that it started to come up again, and people figured it out.
No, that makes sense, though. I mean...
It is sad. It's very sad. It's the opposite of Pompeii. Now I'm like, damn, we should have not done that episode. We should have done it with Pompeii. But I don't know if I want to do an episode on Pompeii.
I don't know if I can.
I know. I'm like that's...
heart-wrenching. Like, here's the thing about, like, some natural disasters. Like, you like to believe, as a human being, you like to believe, like, the only way out is through. Like, I can get through this. I can survive this. But there's certain natural disasters, such as both Helike and Pompeii, that no, you can't.
Would Pompeii be considered a lost city? I don't think so.
No,
because it's not like lost,
disasters.
right?
Yeah.
Have you heard the song Pompeii?
Yes. I was trying not to think of.
And the walls.
Stop! It is. Stop! You're gonna make me cry.
It is actually pretty fucked up. Like I was singing it, and then I was listening to the lyrics, and I was like, bro, they're actually talking about, like, the walls of the city are tumbling down.
I never caught that until you said that, and I was like, God damn it, that is, oh man,
right.
That's just like Pumped Up Kicks. I love that song.
Right, but you gotta listen
but
to
then
the
you're
lyrics.
like, Columbine, no!
Pompeii, the song, really is about Pompeii. That's why he was like, how am I going to be an optimist about this? The walls are literally tumbling down, and then he's like, gray clouds rolled over the skies, bringing darkness from above. It's literally about the disaster. But if you think about it, it's fucking beautiful that we could
in them Pumped Up Kicks. Damn.
Yeah, I used
Music
to sing
be
that
depressing
song all the time.
God damn, you trick me a lot. Like, some of my favorite songs are about heroin, and it depresses me because, like, damn. I had no idea that song was about heroin until I really listened.
Yeah.
And then, like, when half of your favorite songs are like that, you gotta question things about, like, yourself. Like, damn. Oh, thank God.
So, what was the next?
So, Dudley Town.
Because, like, Amber's excited about this one.
I am, because, like, I see more similarities with Dudley Town and the American Horror Story Roanoke, which, like, I almost got through it. And I totally forgot that, like, Roanoke starts out with the reality show, and then it has the season 2 of the reality show. Totally forgot.
Oh yeah, you're right. I totally forgot about that too. First of all, I just want to say with the Roanoke movie or the show, The American Horror Story, I did like it. I watched it the first time and I was like, I don't know, and then I watched it again and I was like, no, I love this. I love the cab driver. He's fucking hilarious, dude.
I like him.
He is so fun. I was devastated when what's his name, Jordan something, the medium died. Oh, that was upsetting. I really liked him.
Cricket.
I really liked him. Like,
sad.
But Gaga did. Oh
my God, she's so good.
She did.
Yeah. No, I love
Kathy
love
Bates
Roanoke.
is a good psycho, dude.
So good in that. Like, there's nothing I don't like about that season. Like, I know a lot of people hate that season, but I like Roanoke.
No, I like it too. I do too.
But like, just in doing research for the Appalachian Trail episode that we did last week, so if you haven't listened, you should totally go listen. But just doing that research, this Dudley Town, which is part of the Appalachians, because it's on the Appalachian Trail, even though it's up in Massachusetts, not down in North Carolina, it has way more crossovers with the Roanoke show. Like the American Horror Story Roanoke. Like, okay, so for one, Dudley Town is on what used to be Mohawk Nation's sacred land. And it now, people see it as a negative power spot where entities come and go.
I could see that, right? Because we discussed
Because, like, yeah, like, that's the American Horror Story thing that has that going on. And that's why the colonists that died there and blah, 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 right? But Dudley Town also, like, I briefly covered it. I'm going to briefly cover it again, just to anybody that hasn't listened to the last episode yet. Dudley Town is part of Cornwall in Massachusetts. Also, I wrote shit down this time, whereas last time I was winging most of it. It is currently in what is called the Dark Entry Forest, which is fucking weird to name a thing that.
Yeah, right? Why the fuck would you name that?
Well, it's in a valley between 3 mountains. So, like, by noon, it would be dark.
That is so scary.
It's creepy, right? Yeah, and so, like, of the 4 original Dudleys that moved there, because some guy named Griffiths or some bullshit like that originally bought it, bought the land out there, and then like Gideon Dudley in 1747, he buys land out there and he goes and starts a farm. And then in 1753, his brothers Barzillai and Abiel move out there.
Fuck?
I know.
Who the fuck would name their kids
when
that?
Gideon is the most normal name
Right,
you
it
got
is,
going
yeah.
on, right? But like, so they move out there in 1753, and then Martin Dudley, who is from a different portion of the family, like he's far enough removed from the Dudleys, even though he is a Dudley, that he marries Gideon's daughter.
Okay, so he's like
a cousin.
a cousin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So they all live out there, and 3 of the Dudleys moved away, and they prospered. They did fine. They lived long, normal lives.
Mm-hmm.
Abiel Dudley stayed, and he went crazy. And he was poor, and he was actually a ward of the town at the time of his death.
Oh, geez.
Because he couldn't pay his debts anymore. And so basically, like, the town owned him. And then he went crazy and died. But his neighbor, his closest neighbor, was William Tanner. And not only did Abiel's, like, best friend die building something on Tanner's house, but Tanner lived there, like, for a long-ass time until he was 104 years old. And when he died, he was, quote-unquote, slightly demented and talked about strange creatures that came in and out of the woods. Again, if you think about the show Roanoke, that pig boy thing, what was that? Did the show ever explain that?
I'm pretty sure they did, but I don't even want to remember.
I don't, but like that thing creeped me out.
It was definitely creepy. And it connected with the first episode, or the first season, too.
Yeah, it did. It did. But Nathaniel Carter and his family were the family that they were massacred by a group of natives. Mm-hmm. He and his wife and infant. And then their other 3 children were taken to Canada, where the 2 daughters were ransomed, and the son, David, stayed with the tribe, married a native girl, and then they moved to New York, and he became, like, a journalist or some shit. Mm-hmm. But obviously, like, Dudley Town was not too good for their family.
No, I mean, it sounds freaking insane.
Right? And Herman Swift, he didn't live in Dudley Town, but he lived, like, right down the road from Dudley Town, and his wife was struck by lightning.
Oh my god!
On their front porch.
Damn!
And died.
That sucks.
And then he went crazy and then died.
Oh my god. What is happening?
Okay, right? Okay, and so, like, there's also random disappearances that weren't mentioned by name. Mm-hmm. But for, like, such a small area,
more disappearances
50-year period, way more disappearances, suicides, and people going crazy.
It just makes me wonder, was there something in the water?
I know you say that. Was there lead in the water? But what about all the people that didn't go crazy?
It doesn't affect everybody, I don't think.
Well, and the strange animals in the woods being like a random thing that ties all these different generations together just makes me go like, I mean, it could be lead in the water, but I think it's more paranormal than that, personally. Mm-hmm. Like, I really see it in connection with American Horror Story Roanoke, where it is this dead spot. Because, like, okay, so in 1901, John Patrick Brophy, his wife died of consumption, which is not weird. She had been sick for a while, and consumption back then, totally normal to die
What's
from.
consumption?
The lungs.
Okay.
We know what it's called now.
Pneumonia.
Not pneumonia. Tuberculosis.
Oh.
I think that's consumption. I think. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments, but be kind. I didn't fucking look it up. But yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, definitely let me know in the comments. It helps our algorithm. But his kids, like right after his wife died, his kids just disappeared into the woods.
What the fuck?
And then he vanished into the woods too.
Huh. That is weird.
Like, no trace of his body. Like, vanished. Like,
that is weird.
Yeah, fucking weird. Right? And so then the last fact that is interesting and weird is in 1900, Dr. William Clark bought land to build, like, a summer house, right? His wife, Harriet bank clerk, and he would spend summers, like take a week vacation out there in the summertime, and they would go spend Thanksgiving out there, right? Mm-hmm. In 1918, his wife was left there for 36 hours. Actually, so it wasn't 3 days, it was a day and a half. I wrote that down wrong. It's not 3 days, it's 36 hours. She was alone for 36 hours. He comes back, she's crazy, talking about things coming out, strange animals coming out of the woods, and she kills herself.
Weird.
He keeps that house. He remarries a woman named Carlotta. I wrote it down somewhere. Somewhere I wrote it down. But anyway, he remarries, and he and a bunch of his friends in 1924 start the Dark Entry Forest Association to make it private land that nobody can come on and to keep it wild forever. I think that he fucking knows something. I think it's like American Horror Story Roanoke, because I just see all these different, like...
No, for real.
I mean, for real, though.
That's crazy.
Like, it is crazy. Like, these places really exist. Don't go there, guys. Don't go there.
Would you go there?
You're not supposed to.
Oh.
It's, like, legally you're not supposed to. When Blair Witch came out, apparently, back in 1999, a bunch of people went in the woods and fucked up the ecosystem by looking for, like, witches out in the woods.
Bitches.
People ruin everything. Would I go there if it wasn't, like, illegal to do so? Fuck yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I would.
We're white people. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, we would.
But also, like, I'll go to heal some fucking energy, and I'll fuck around and find out, because, like, you got this one life. YOLO, mofo.
Sorry. Anyway.
I'm not planning on doing that. But do you know of some other lost cities we should tackle in a future episode? Because I really enjoy, like, I fucking
I know. I had so much fun. Was Roanoke how you expected, or did you learn something? I'm very curious.
Did we ruin a mystery for you like we did for ourselves today?
Right. Let us know in the comments. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can also find us on Instagram at Witches Talking Tarot and Twitter at Classiest Witches.
Hello, Victoria and Melissa. You can join them on patreon.com/Witches Talking Tarot and become patrons of ours if you would like extra episodes, bonus content, and your very own shout out. Make it so where we have to write down our patrons' names so we don't forget you guys.
Help us out.
Yeah, we would love it.
Yeah.
Send us to Salem next October.
Right. Thanks for sitting with us for a spell.
Bye.